All
drive-by.
right, we are live for another episode. I'm not sure the exact number. I forgot to check. Nevertheless, it is another Let's Go podcast. I'm live from the car here with Joey Katz, but more important than Joey Katz, sorry Joey Katz, we have three of the biggest legendary pitchers: the Sheriff, King Konig, as I like to call him, and Primetime Pollan. Sorry, Menachem Diamondstein. Three of the most legendary pitchers in our game, three of the most legendary pitchers in the game now and in the past. And of course, Yossi a little newer on the scene, but we appreciate all of them, all also tremendously involved in the HSL community and always advocating for everything HSL and its growth in both talent and in just overall the growth of the HSL. And we appreciate it. And it was actually Yossi who really was, pushing this. We think it's a great idea always to keep the community involved and, talk about the softball community. And that's what we're here for. And Yossi has an agenda he wants to really try to push and see what we could talk about. And Sheriff, why don't you take it away here?
Awesome. Thank you, Avi. Yeah, great to be back. I feel like it's been over a year. Yeah, I think it's a good opportunity. We've been getting a lot of requests from just hearing from the pitchers because we obviously we get to have our own interaction with every batter, almost every player. And what better way to do it than with Steve and Yehuda? And starting, I heard last night that you guys had some matchup, right? 2-0 win by Yehuda's team and dominant pitching all the way around. And I don't know, Yehuda, do you feel like you were Steve, do you feel like Yehuda was at his best last night?
Yehuda was cooking last night. He had his riser going. He struck me out. I told Yehuda after that at bat, it was like 5 straight risers. 4 of them I just barely tipped, and then the 5th one just was crazy. I said I think it was the best at bat that he's had against me in like 25 years. It was nasty. So he had some crazy stuff last night.
Love it.
Not easy.
Yehuda, how do you feel you pitched overall?
I thought I pitched well. I thought we played a very good team defensive game. I think for most of the season, as a team, we've played well. Where we've gone wrong, I think Steve would attest to this. Like we made the plays last night that we didn't make the first game we played. So I really look at it as a team effort. Like they hit some balls hard. Although I thought for the most part I pitched well, but the balls that were hit hard, we made the outs and made the plays.
Okay, so this is my first question to you guys. You guys have been pitching a lot longer than I have. Do you feel, what is the best version? Is the 2006 Steve Pollan, the 2016 Steve Pollan, or the 2026 Steve Pollan? Which pitcher is the best?
Steve Pollan.
You're asking me?
Yeah,
I can't answer.
Well, yeah, of course you have to answer. Do you feel like you're a better pitcher today than you were 10 years ago or 20 years ago? And which
No.
version do you feel like is the best out of the last 20 or even 30 years you've been pitching?
Steve.
The best was probably like in the mid 2000s, like 8 to 15 in that area. First of all, I was able to go 3 games at a problem. So that was like, now I can't do that. Back then, it wasn't even like an issue. And I had this crazy curveball that once in a while I have it now, but then it was a consistent. And when it was on, it was unhittable because it was coming in like a fluttery pitch after like when I threw harder than I do now. I have better control now generally. Every once in a while you lose it, but I think I was better then.
Okay.
I think when I look at Pollan, I got to tell you, like I feel like he's throwing as well today as he ever has. I mean, he's dynamite, and there's a real, for having now played the outfield behind him like more than most people, at least recently. There's such a comfort out there. He throws strikes. He guides the ball when it's put in play. It's not hit that hard, and he's just really fantastic. This version of him is phenomenal.
So Yehuda, same question to you. Are you better? Which version is the best Yehuda Konig pitcher? 2006, 2016, or 2026?
Not this version. I mean, I do think I've always said this. Anybody who has seen me play before and I've played with, I've always said that it's just a percentages thing. Where 10, 15 years ago, I'd go out and be really, really good most of the time and have a stinker here and there, but for the most part, be relatively good. And I think now, every now and then, as Avi Edelman will tell you, had the tournament we played in together, it wasn't the best version, and that happens. So I just think it's a percentages thing where they're just not as many really good outings as there used to be.
Got it. Okay, it's fair.
I want to elaborate a little bit.
Go ahead.
I want to elaborate a little bit with Yehuda. Steve sort of spelled it out. Yehuda, you said definitely not now. What was different 20 or 10 years ago that, like, I think your riser, to me at least, maybe, is still a wicked pitch. Like, what did you have then that you no longer have now? Do you feel like you're not as good as you were in the past?
I think the recovery time between is just a little easier when you're younger, and so I used to throw a lot in between, and my arm strength was better. I threw harder. My fastball was probably better, and I located the ball much, much better
Yeah.
back in
So
the day. Steve, is that fair? I mean, I used to be able to really dot an eye on
like
the
as
ball
good
without a problem.
as good as you was last
Now,
night in the past, like 10, 12 years ago, really he would walk maybe 2, 3 guys a season, let alone in a game. That was a big difference. And he threw his fast, like his riser last night was as good as I've ever seen it. But he used to throw much hard, not much harder, but he used to throw harder. So the riser became that much more effective. So like even last night when the riser's cooking, you could sort of, I mean, it was moving so crazy, but you could at least have a chance against it because you could sit back a little bit and just try to like foul it off. Whereas in the past, you couldn't do that because you get blown away by the fastball, you have no chance. And he would never walk anywhere, ever. Like literally, like 2, 3 walks a season was a lot. So, but he's come back, man. Like the last 6 months has been pretty ridiculous. So it's like the greatest comeback of all
Yep.
time. We gotta check his
my
Barry
God, here
Bonds
we go.
like doctor prescriptions and whatnot. See what's going on over there.
It's the clean and the clear. It's the clean and the clear.
Go ahead,
It's,
Yossi. Go ahead, Yossi.
No, It's interesting because I get this a lot because I never I haven't really played. I played in the Hillcrest Softball League in 2006, but you guys were playing in the Blue and White League, which was obviously a far superior league. But what's interesting is like we treat players today very, very different than I think 20 years ago. I'll give you a good example. I think we all agree on this call that currently the best Jewish softball player that we are seeing today is Matt Rosenberg. Is that a fair statement?
Without,
Accurate statement? You guys all agree?
especially
Matt
in
Rosenberg?
right field in North River, yes,
Yeah.
without question.
Okay. So I have a question for you guys. Who do you think is a scarier hitter? Matt Rosenberg, 2026 Matt Rosenberg, or 2006 Tzvi Weil? Because Tzvi to me was the best hitter that I've ever pitched against, 15, 20 years ago.
So if I'm taking this, I would say, I thought 5 to 6 years ago, I actually told this to somebody, I thought Matt Rosenberg was the best Jewish softball player that I ever played with, and this was 5 and 6 years ago. I think Tzvi Weil was probably a better technical hitter, but Matt Rosenberg's speed is the X factor. It's a killer. Like the guy gets on base and you just can't keep track of the guy. It's impossible. I mean, he's running all over the place, and as a fielder, he might every now and then everybody makes a mistake, but he covers so much ground. He lets you change the whole game of how you play defensively.
Well, Yehuda, let me ask you this question: if it's the last guy up with 2 outs in the last inning, and you're pitching, would you rather? Who do you not want to see? Do you want to see Tzvi in the box from 20 years ago, or would you rather not see Matt in the box today?
Assuming you can't walk the guy, you can't play tricks. Nah, you can't
Go
walk
ahead.
the guy, you can't play tricks. You got to pitch to
Yeah,
them.
you got to pick someone. Who is it? And then I'm going to go to Steve and ask this question.
It's not David Bloom, I'll tell you that much. I don't want to see that guy. I would say, if we're being serious, I think the one guy that I would take, and again, I know he's hurt now, in that spot that I would not want to face. Actually, 2 I could think of. One would be Shia Weiss, and the other one would be Archie. I think those 2 guys they know how to hit in the big spot. But from these 2, I would rather face, and again, I'm going to get ripped for this, but I think Matt Rosenberg is the more dangerous hitter.
Okay, Steve, what are your thoughts?
So Matt is and I've said this many times. He is the most talented softball player I've ever played with. All the skills, speed. That by far the best bat speed I've ever seen. You cannot throw a fastball by him. Tzvi might have been a smarter, like you would have said, more technical hitter. Like he would go the opposite way. He would have different kind of bat control than Matt did. And as much power as Tzvi had, and Tzvi has a tremendous amount of power. I've never seen anything like Matt in terms of pure power. Shuey Offman has similar type power. But there's no left field fence, so it doesn't really help. Adam Hoffman has a tremendous amount of power, but when you combine, and Tzvi wasn't as dead pull as Matt is, so that right field fence it's the most dangerous weapon I've ever played against in that, especially when we take that kind of field speed. But if you take Yehuda's sidetrack of who do I not want to see 2 outs in a big spot, there's probably a couple guys ahead of those 2. Not that I would take those guys over them, but in a big spot, Shia I've won a lot of championships with him, 10, 12, I don't know, maybe more. And in a big spot, he was always there. But the greatest clutch hitter in the history of softball that I ever played with is Seth Fishman, bar none. Not even close. And the amount of walk-off triples, home runs, doubles that he's had in championship games is legendary. So unfortunately, you guys didn't get to see him in his prime. But in terms of the greatest clutch hitter ever is Seth Fishman without a question in my mind.
He has
One
his
second.
famous line,
Wait,
"You
one
can't pick
second. One second. We need to clip him a moment here. Let's ask the question. If it had to come down to Matt or T.Y., who are you facing
With the right field
you can't
fence,
walk the guy in the pitch to that?
open
No,
field,
open field.
open
Open
field.
Who you
field.
I'd
face?
probably rather pitch
Yeah.
to Matt than Svi
Okay.
because Svi would use more of
I
the
agree with
field
that.
and he shortened his swing a little bit more. But the problem is, no matter if the fence was 300 feet away, I still rather probably face Svi because Matt can hit the fence. You can't make a mistake to Matt ever. A mistake's a home run. It's
Yeah.
nuts. But I think
Also, the other aspect, I don't know if Yehuda spelled this out. I don't know how fast Sviwile was back in the day. Yehuda spells it like with Matt, like even like in a big spot, if he hits the ball on the
Yep.
ground to a fielder, like you have to be perfect to
Yep.
get the guy out. Like it's nuts. It's like absolutely crazy. So there's that
Svi had
aspect,
above
also,
Svi had above average speed.
is
Tremendous outfielder also. Tremendous arm. But in terms of like I said, I've never played with anybody with the tools that Matt has on the field in any league. Yeah.
I personally felt like when I started pitching against the better players, there was like stretches of the season where I could not get Svi Wild. Like the guy you just couldn't get out. He went the opposite. You pitched him outside. He went to left. He just sprayed the ball all over the place.
But
Where
there's a
Matt,
difference, Rusty.
Matt is the guy you make a mistake and he'll hit the ball 340 feet and he'll hit it over the fence. So I think the consensus is on an open field, probably Svi is just as a hitter to get on base, probably a greater threat. But with the fence field, obviously, or as a home run threat, Matt is definitely a bigger.
So
issue.
let me just clarify that also.
Yeah, go ahead,
When I
Steve.
first started playing at Svi, we played against him in the Brooklyn softball league, and he was a tremendous raw talent, and also like he would just tee off on the ball. But he was dead pull hitter, well, not dead, but like left, right center, and he would not go to left field ever. So he was a much easier out. Then he matured as a hitter, and then he became just with the power, with everything else, and he would go to left center, down the line, and then he became just an incredible threat. The reason why he's a Hall of Famer.
The reason. It's interesting. We talk about guys who are like the best hitters. Is there any players that are predominantly tier 2? Maybe now they play tier 1, but they've mostly played tier 2. Is there any players in tier 2 that you feel like just have your number? Is like one guy that sticks out where this guy gets up and you're just like, I don't know how he always gets on base against me. Does anyone, I'll start with you, Steve. Is there anyone that sticks out, not from the upper echelon of tier 1
So
guys?
I don't know. I don't play tier 2, so I don't know how that.
Or I guess newer guys on the scene, younger guys that you haven't really like. For me, I feel like Shirley Freeman's like one of those guys that I don't really remember him before like the last year or two, but for some reason this guy is just a very good hitter and is always just hits me all the time. Is there a guy that fits that bill for you?
It's not
funny,
you,
Shirley
Rusty,
Freeman.
everybody.
I always told Avi that he was the best hitter on that team, on his Sunday morning team. And he was by far my toughest out because he took the most pitches. He fouled off a lot of pitches. So I agree with you on Shirley. So that's why I can't beat him, join him. He's picked him up for this year, and he's been tremendous for us Sunday mornings. So who would I don't really know. I just know, just going to last night, like a guy like Gestetner, Mayor Gestetner, he's a very tough out. The kid puts the ball in play. He gets a lot of hits. He doesn't. He has a compact swing, so maybe he's the kind of guy that would fit the bill. I don't really know. I have to think about other guys that would be in that spot, but he's kind of like that pesky, compact, doesn't swing at bad pitches kind of guy. Maybe someone like that.
I'll give you an example quickly. Go ahead, either.
No, go. You can jump in.
You go ahead, Avi.
No. I was just quickly saying, like, for example, a guy like me, like Morty Abitan, now who I play with, he's always found a way to get on base against me. Always. Pokes to right field, pokes to left field, fouls pitches off. Just someone who just, in my mind's like, always got on base. And it's go ahead.
I think Abitan's a good call. He is a tough hitter. I think they all are tough hitters. That whole family is tough hitters. But if I had to pick one, I'm going to go back a couple of years. I think Yisrael Izzo, just for some reason, this guy just Every time he'd come up, he'd find a way to get a hit against me, especially when he was on those West Hempstead teams. It just drove me nuts. But he's an excellent player. And another one, which Steve mentioned, who just a very tough out. He has great back control. And by the way, he's fast, which is always surprising to me why he takes a runner. Shmuel Gestetner is just, that guy just puts the ball in play, hits line drives, and he's a smart player.
Yeah, Shmuel's a professional hitter.
Tough out.
Yeah. All right. Let's get controversial the other way. Who is one of the top players that you feel like you have a lot of success?
Not going to answer that.
And I could start. Do you want me to start? I'll start. I'll
Go
get
for
controversial.
it.
I feel like, and I think he'll agree with me, and I think he's such a good hitter, but for some reason I feel like I have a lot of success against him, and that's Noah Aaron. I feel like Noah Aaron, for some reason, like I pitch him pretty well, and I'm not saying he doesn't get on, but he's like one of the guys, he's a middle of the lineup guy that I personally feel like, whatever it is, he struggles with me. Now I'm putting you guys on the spot. Who do you feel that they could use this as ammo in maybe the draft tournament where you could say you guys have success with against?
Wow. Most guys come up to me and tell me that they hit me hard, which is everybody can't hit
There's
me.
5
hit me
shutouts in
hard,
8 games. That was hitting you hard, right?
I gotta tell you, I mean, I think. Hold on one second. I gotta. Sorry. I do think it's a tough one because when we say success, it's like relative success, right?
I mean, guys top players that you feel like just don't.
I'll
really
tell
hit
you,
you.
I'm going to call him out right here. I have no problem because he'll come up and I know he'll hit a home run off me next time. But I think I pitched Daniel Ash much better than I used to. I think,
he said good hitters.
I think he's
he said good hitters,
player.
Yeah. You can't count Ash. Ash
Wow.
is it.
So what I
Yeah,
did here,
come on.
Look what I did there. I said
Steve,
something
that's like
that
saying
made
you
look
or
bad.
me.
Sounds like
That's a
softer than
cheat.
one of your
That's
meatballs.
Yehuda, I'll give you some options and you tell
Go
me.
for it, yeah, because
All right.
go for
I'll
it.
give you 4 options. Jack Ross, Adam Hoffman, Shuey Hoffman, right? I'll say Gavi Dector.
Wow.
I'm talking about guys who are real.
Stop
David
right
Boone.
there. I have more success against Gavi Dector than the other 3. I think he's a good hitter, but I think he does hit fly balls. A lot of fly balls. And if you keep the ball, I'm going to say it now, if you keep the ball up against him, I do find that he'll elevate the ball, and he doesn't have the same kind of power as the other 3. So on an open field, I do think if you're going to give me those choices, I mean, I have tremendous respect for him as a player, but if I have to pick from those 4, that's an easy one.
Okay, I think Gavi Dector is actually out of the 4. I think to me he's the toughest out with Adam.
Okay.
But that's just me. And Steve,
I'm
I'll
not
turn it
answering
over
that
to you. What
question.
do you think?
Because a guy could be 0 for 100 against me,
Wow.
and the next time up, he loses this video and hit 300-foot home run. So I'll give you this one. I'll tell you this. Shuey
I
Hoffman,
can't wait.
I've always had good success against him. No, I
Play
played against
with him.
him.
That's
I
not
played against
fair.
him in Israel for years.
No, not
We
this
knocked him out of
season,
the playoffs
yeah.
every year. The last
Sure.
year or so, maybe year and a half, he has become, and this is playing with him now against great pitchers and also against him, he's become a tremendously tough out, and he's become one of the best hitters in the league, and especially with his power. So if I would have answered this question a year ago and said Shuey Hoffman, I would have been burned. So I'm not going to do it now because there'd be somebody else now that I think I have good success against.
Why don't you let Avi Edelman? Let Avi Edelman answer about Shuey Hoffman.
He's still looking for the ball.
He's frozen.
Yeah,
But
frozen.
Shuey-
Oh man.
I would have
I was
answered
actually
Shuey
gonna go
last
to his
year,
brother.
but now
I was
thank
going
God
to his
because
brother.
now he's the man.
I happen to think.
Okay. So
I happen to
of
think
the-
that.
Go ahead.
I happen to think that. No, I was gonna actually. I happen to think that Shuey's brother. They call him Adam. Going just off the past year, maybe 2. I can't look up the stats, but for some reason, even though he's a lethal hitter, I just feel comfortable around the plate against him. I don't know why. You can look up the stats in the tournament and the regular season. It's probably the easiest out. It's definitely the easiest out for me out of the top 5-6 hitters in the Lobos lineup, and was probably the easiest out also out of the top 5-6 hitters in the tournament lineup that I faced.
You're talking
I don't know
about
why.
Adam. You're talking about Adam Hoffman.
Adam Hoffman, yeah. Archie Eichhorn, when he gets to the plate, he bats.
Adam will file this.
Archie bats 900 plus against me at the plate. I can't get Archie out. I don't know why. For some reason, again, maybe it genuinely could be luck. I don't know. For some reason, when Adam comes up, it a lot of times ends up in either a double play or a fly
I'll
ball
tell
to
you
the
with
outfield.
Adam, the one thing with Adam is that playing with him a lot as much as I do with him.
This is not a knock at all, by the way. Adam's elite. He's elite beyond. I don't know why. This is how it works. I'm not the type of pitcher that could shut down anybody. I don't throw overly fast. I don't have spin. It just that's happenstance. Go ahead.
Adam rarely makes easy outs. Like even if you go over, even games when he goes over three and two double plays, there are three like screaming liners. Like just happen to be right at guys. So I've been playing with him now for 8, 9 years on his team, and then against him for many years. He doesn't make easy outs. So even if his average, let's say you get him on a stretch of 0 for 10, I bet you 9 of those 10 were like ropes that just were right at guys. So I don't know how anyone can say he's an easy out. The guy
It could be.
hits the ball hard every time.
It's easy. I think he's someone that is an elite. Y'all see, I'm willing to address.
Adam is a tremendous easy out, and that he pops up and hits into double plays often, and that's what I heard. That's what I took out of it. But I know while Avi gets better reception, it's interesting because we talk about guys that like we've played with for many years, like Archie and Adam, and then there's newer guys, there's younger guys on the scene that Avi obviously does a great job in terms of getting them into the tournament and into different things. There's this debate of whether, and I'm curious, Steve, to hear your thoughts. There's a debate of like who would you take as your shortstop? Like if you could draft. So let's imagine where you're a captain of one of the in the Twillery draft tournament.
David
You could
Bloom.
take any shortstop.
Not even a question.
Is it David Bloom or is it Moshe Zinn?
Zin's tremendous.
Okay.
Zin will make plays that no one else will make. Everyone makes errors, but I think Bloom makes less errors that hurt you in spots. He doesn't try to do too much. He's not going to throw away a ball. Because Zin is so talented, he tries to make plays that maybe shouldn't be made, but because of his tremendous talent, he'll take a shot at it. And also, I think Bloom is a better hitter. Not by a lot, but Bloom, I think right now he's top 3 hitter in the league. And if you ask me if we're doing a draft, he's also top 3 in a draft along with Matt and maybe 1 or 2 other Archie or Jack Ross, and Zin's right behind that. So I think Bloom's right.
In terms of dollar, you mean in terms of dollar value?
In terms of if I'm drafting, who am I taking first? I'm taking Bloom, my first shortstop. It's not even, and I wouldn't think twice.
Yehuda, are you taking Zinn or Bloom?
Wow. I mean, if this gets Zinn to show back up to our games, I'll take Zinn because he's we've got to get this guy back on the field or we're really missing him. But I will say this. We played in this tournament in New Jersey maybe about 4 or 5 weeks ago. Yossi, I think he was on your team. Moshe Zinn made 2 or 3 plays that I hate hyperbole. I really do because we all played a lot. And he made plays I've never seen made in a game. I mean, he had a barehanded play going the wrong way that took a bad bounce on him that he, I don't know, somehow caught the ball with his bare hand and threw the guy out at first base. He made plays that just you don't see. And he's a little younger than David and his range is tremendous. I think if I could pair him with Rokach on the left side of the infield, their chemistry together is spectacular. Like
Their range is ridiculous.
Steve, don't get. They're the best left side of the infield they've ever pitched with. They just amazing. The range is incredible. The plays they make out in the short outfield is amazing. Their ability to know where each other are is incredible. So as a package deal, I want them, but I want David Bloom's bat because I think David Bloom is, at least over the last 12 to 18 months, you can't get the guy out. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
So who are you taking, assuming you cannot get Rokach, who are you taking in a draft first, David Bloom or Moshe Zinn?
The money has to dictate, especially like as we're doing in the Twillery tournament, and I saw Zinn sign up. That's exciting. I think it's dead even. I would try to get the better value. They're both incredible. Not that I'm not. They're both incredible players.
Credit to Yehuda for avoiding the question.
Wow. Wow.
By the way,
You got to
Yossi,
pick
before
one guy,
Yossi-
Yehuda. It's a snake tournament.
It's not a
Snake
snake
draft.
tournament.
No, if it's a snake.
coming up.
Well, let's say the money's the same and you could have one. You're just going to flip a coin?
Well, you're not losing either way.
Oh boy.
I'm not, I mean, Steve, I can't let him out of this. It's got to make it, the whole point of this podcast is to have hot takes.
Yeah, Steve, let me think about this one. I think that, again, I can't answer this one. It's like having like a Mercedes or a BMW. Like,
Paula, Yossi, I just want to say before we move on, I'm the only one who had the balls to answer your first question about who they're who's this extremely tough out that I think is an easier out for me. I just want to.
I jumped all over Gabi.
Well, Avi, are you taking Bloom or you're taking Zinn?
Do you hear me? I have to take Moshe Zinn because Moshe's my shortstop for years, and he won me a championship. He won me a championship Sunday morning that that he got me over a hump that I couldn't get over for 7 years. Him and Rokach, together.
Yes, but if you're drafting and you know,
You got.
the
I got.
money's
I
on
would
the
go motion.
line.
I would go
Okay.
motions in. I would go
All
motions
right.
in without a doubt in my mind.
That's
I
all
can't not. It based off impulse alone.
So I saw we have about 70 players signed up for the draft tournament that I think we're all really excited about in the fall. It's a great opportunity to play with other guys. And I don't know if you guys have seen this. I've seen this. There's 3 people that have gone through, Lowinger, Blisco, and Avi have gone through like a rankings as they come in, like a power rankings of how they rank each player. And I'm curious to get Steve and Yehuda your take on it, because at the end of the day, the 3 of us, we're not going to be captains as pitchers. There's no captains that are pitchers. But I saw Avi's ranking that he had neck and neck Glenn and Ez Younger. And then my first thought was, okay, well, I think we all agree that Glenn is a much better hitter than Ezzy. And I was a little shocked why Glenn and Ezzy were neck and neck. And then when I thought about it, maybe with the understanding that Ezzy, versatility-wise in the field, is very valuable because he can play outfield, he can play infield. I'm curious if you guys, do you agree with that in a draft, in this kind of draft where defense matters and obviously you got to have a very well-rounded team, where Glenn is limited to, I think we all agree Glenn is limited to the corner infield positions, would you actually spend more money on a guy like Ez Younger, who is a weaker hitter than Glenn, with less flexibility, or go the other way? So I'll turn it over to you, Steve.
So it's a good question because Ezzy is a tremendous outfielder. He's a very good infielder. I play with him on many teams. He can play shortstop. He can play third. I assume he can play second, and I don't think I've ever played with him at second, but he plays all those positions. And he's a great. And I've thrown to him. He's a great catcher. He's a good guy to throw to, and he's also a good hitter. It's not like he's not a good hitter. He's a legit hitter. Glenn's an elite hitter though. So you're talking about from just a pure hitting perspective. He's on a short list of 4 or 5 guys, right? You know, as most dangerous hitters out there, and he's an elite defensive fielder at first, and he's adequate enough at third. I guess it depends on the construction of your team, but I still think you have to put Glenn ahead of him, only because he has such a high level bat that maybe if he was like a slightly lower level bat, I could see the case. But when you're taking someone with that kind of bat, you know, that guy in the middle of the line, you know, in a big, especially where you're not facing elite pitching every night, right? You're facing mid-tier pitching also, and in the big spots where you're going to go against a big pitcher, and you're going to have 10 guys in the lineup. Then not everyone's facing, is used to facing this kind of pitching, and then you have a guy like Glenn who hits 500 against A pitching. I think you got to go with Glenn.
But it's not a hot take if somebody drafted Ezzy with more money.
No, I think it's a little ridiculous, but it's not insane.
Okay, Yehuda, what are your thoughts?
I do think that positional eligibility / flexibility is very important, especially if they're going to tighten up the sub rules, just you know, in the for whatever it's worth category. But I do think, again, the money has to be fairly equal for this to play out. I'm going with Glenn because assuming he's healthy, and I do have to throw that in there. I know he's had a couple of little things he's dealing with, but to have an extra bat in the lineup, you know, I've for better or for worse, and you know, at a certain point you got to look at yourself and say, why can't your teams hit? But there's something nice when you're able to have more hitting in the lineup, and it lets your defense relax a little. You pitch a little bit better, a little easier, and I think not that I wouldn't stress defense, but I think Glenn is very solid at first base, and if you build your team correctly, having an extra hitter in your lineup could even help you play defensively, if that makes sense, and pitch better because you have more chances to score runs and because you just have a better lineup. Not taken away from Ezzy as a hitter, but Glenn full go, and you give him a little bit of easier pitching too, where he's not facing Pollan and Ash and Yussi, and all the tough guys that are out there. I mean, the guy could hit 700 or 800 against weaker pitching, without a doubt. He could go 3 games without getting out.
He's tremendous.
Steve,
back control is tremendous.
Okay. Avi, you agree? Avi, you would take Glenn over Ezzy, and you would bid more for Glenn over Ezzy?
I would take Glenn over Ezzy any day of the week in a big spot at the plate. Glenn's a top 5 hitter when it comes to base hits in the league, maybe even top 3. He's unbelievable. In a tournament setting, when you have a guy like Ez Younger, who I think could play, who could play multiple places in the outfield, multiple places in the infield, he could catch. He's a very solid hitter himself. I think with 11 men in a roster, having someone who could play 4 different positions is tremendously beneficial. I think that outweighs Glenn's phenomenal bat at the plate. That's just my personal take in an auction draft. If you ask me who's a better hitter, it's Glenn. If you ask me who plays a better first base, it's probably Glenn. If you ask me who plays a better third base, it's probably similar. But I just think the flexibility of Ezzy and the fact that he's a functional hitter who's been playing in the A for many years and sees a lot of A pitching, and you're going, also, you have to remember, going up against B pitching and allowing Glenn to hit 800 also means guys like Ezzy could be a better hitter also when they're facing softer pitching. Ezzy plays for the Twillery Tigers in the B League sometimes, very rarely. He's a prominently A League hitter. I think facing softer pitching will help Ezzy also at the plate. That's my take.
Okay. Interesting. I think on the power rankings and we got to release these power rankings soon. But
Yeah, where are they? I want to see these power rankings.
It's a Google Doc. They got to update it. But I thought one, Avi has Yossi Rosenberg as the 5th best player in this entire draft.
Whoa, hold up. That was before. 1 second. That was before guys like Jack Ross and Moshe Zinn and a lot of the last 2-3 days, some bigger names signing up. Let's slow down here and be respectable of my.
Okay, I'll be respectful. So I know Steve's gonna love this one. There are 3 guys, and I'll ask this to Steve, that Yossi Rosenberg is ahead of that. I don't know. I'm curious to get how would you guys stack this? And Avi has Yossi Rosenberg ahead of Hillel Rokach, Benji Horowitz, Ellie Konigsberg, and I'm looking for the last one, and Hillel Schwartz and Chaim Zegelbaum. Are there any of those guys, Steve, that you feel like you would take?
I would take Rokach.
Tim, is anyone that he put out?
No. You got to explain.
Joe's
after.
a great player,
but
but he's an outfielder. Okay. He's a great hitter.
That's not true.
And he's fast, and he runs the bases. Hillel Rokach is, a top 3 or 4 infielder. He's him and Archie neck and neck is the best third baseman in this night league without question. They're both tremendous. And also Hillel's bat the last 2 years, like Shuey Hoffman, became just tremendous. He's a hard out now. He's a great player. Hillel Rokach's probably right now, like last year we joked around about it, how he got bid so high for him. And last year that was right to joke around about it because he wasn't the player he is now. He's much better now than he was last year. Yeah.
And he won the championship.
Right now, I think that number is undervalued. He's that good. Hillel Schwartz, I haven't played enough with him or against him to have an opinion. I played that one game in a weird kind of way. I don't remember him defensively. His power is insane, but in a big field, and again, I don't know. I played him once, and so at least I remember one. So I don't know his bat on, except for like hitting the ball far. So I don't know what he'd be like on line drives and getting base hits if he played everyone like 300 feet. Who were the other guys you mentioned?
Konigsberg.
So I think Konigsberg and Benji Horowitz. Could also.
I think
be in
Joe
the
is.
As well.
Yossi's ahead of Ellie. I think because of his speed and because of he became a really, really tough out last couple of years. He's tough. He's fast. And Benji, that's a tough one because Benji plays a premium position at an elite level, and he's also a pesky, annoying hitter. It's for a high average. I have to think about that one. That's close. The only one for sure, Rokach is the only one that I would rank higher for sure. The other ones I have to think about. I mean, Benji I have to think about. Yeah.
What do you think, Yehuda? You agree? You're with Steve.
You were just chuckling.
I'm thinking because it's a tough one. I mean, I've played with Yossi for a long time. If I just went off the off the tournament that we played against him in, his tournament, RSK. I mean, the guy looked like Willie Mays out there. I mean, he was unbelievable. He made every play. It was unbelievable. He played great. But having played with him for years, I think there's a couple I would put ahead of him and a couple not. I would certainly take Rokach ahead of him. I think Rokach is a superstar. I mean, I've been one of the few where he went for $70-something last year in the tournament, and I heard people thought it was a lot, and they thought it was crazy that he was on par with David Bloom, and to me, didn't bat an eye. I think he's just a super, super talented player, and I think it's actually, I'm going to say a crazy statement that is, I think he's underrated as a player. I think he is so good defensively. I don't even think I remember him making a single error this season. And again, as it was pointed out on the chat today, like I remember a lot of things. The guy just is ridiculous. It's insane. I've never seen.
I want to ask you who you would draft higher. I know you're not going to answer the question.
Go for it.
But I would ask you: would you draft and spend more money on Moshe Zinn or Hillel Rokach?
Hillel Rokach.
Okay. Wow.
He didn't just get married and he's coming to games.
Okay. We'll edit out that last part.
No, but listen, I've only played a couple of games with Moshe. He's a tremendous player. I've now played a bunch of games with Hillel, and there's a loyalty factor in that I have such a respect from him as a player. I don't know the last time I played with a guy. Probably Steve had this with David Abish a little bit, where you're hard pressed to find the mistake the guy made. It's unbelievable. I mean, and to give you the other guys, I haven't played enough with Benji, but he's a tremendous player, tremendous defensive player. I mean, just unbelievable. I also found out last night that he's Simi Chigger's son-in-law. That gave me a chuckle.
Simi was a good player.
I had a good chuckle.
Yeah.
Tremendous player. I think Rosenberg is a total package. Also with his bat, like Yussi's a bigger threat. I think that's important. Again, I'm giving offense credence. And who are you? A couple of other guys in there?
Ellie Konigsberg.
Konigsberg.
I don't know him enough. He's an excellent player, but I think I would take Yussi ahead of him.
Okay, well, speaking of, would you take Jack Ross or Yossi Rosenberg?
Jack Ross, without a question. I think Jack Ross is one of the most gifted outfielders in the league.
I think.
By the way, you ever see the guy throw a ball? I mean, Steve, this guy,
Jack's a top
unbelievable.
5 player or worse.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer. That's a no-brainer. And the reason why I put Yossi so high, and the reason why I put him over Hillerich, even though Hillerich is my guy, he's not Yehuda's guy, he's my guy. Yehuda's temporarily borrowing him. The reason why I put, Yossi over Hillel is because, and no one here mentioned this, and that, by the way, could be the missing key. Yossi, he's not a Hillerich. He's also a high-level shortstop and third baseman. He plays a really good short and really good third. And again, these tournaments, these auction tournaments, when you have a guy who's in a, when you,
I've never seen him play the infield
Rosenberg is
ever,
a really good infielder. Right, which is correct. So when you have a guy who plays a really high-level outfield, a really high-level infield, is a very tough out at the plate, very fast runner, that package, I think, makes him more valuable in an auction draft. Hillerich is an elite third baseman. I want to say Yossi's an elite third baseman. I think Yossi's still a little bit of a better hitter than Hill is overall. I think Hill has some ways to go still. He's got much better than he was in the past. But I think you take the full package. I would spend more on Yossi Rosenberg than Hill.
Let me just clear up one thing that I think Avi's overrating to an extent. When you're putting together a team at a draft, it's nice to have that flexibility because as the draft is going on, I could say, all right, I could pick a guy that's like as younger. And now I don't have to worry about I'm pigeonholed myself. Okay, I have a first baseman. I can't take another first baseman. So I get the value once you do, but once you have a team going forward, like Glenn Zuckerman is more valuable for sure because he's a better player. Or like in this case, let's say, Hillel, once I have Hillel at third and batting second or whatever my team, I don't the flexibility is nice, but that's good at the draft when I'm trying to compile a team. Once my team's made up, it doesn't make a difference. Or makes much less of a difference at that point.
It's a bonus. It's a nice bonus.
How do you guys, if your team is drafting, where do you value? Do you look at the catcher position as, let me get just somebody at the end of the draft for $1 or $2, or would you put a premium on a guy like Izzo or a guy like Yitzi Rosen who I'm getting him to sign up? Sachfelberg is another guy who. What are your thoughts, Steven Yehuda? Like, if you're drafting, how important is it for you, especially as a pitcher, to like, would you pay a premium for a good, really good hitting catcher, as well as somebody that you obviously have a good vibe with?
Me, 100%. I think you can't put the value of a catcher enough. The fact of a catcher, there's a couple things they do. They keep you in rhythm. So if you have a catcher who's plays catcher, knows how to catch, he's catching balls that maybe get away. That other guys won't. He's throwing it back to you properly, so you're not bending. It's very underrated, but people don't realize from a pitching standpoint, let's say you're throwing 80 to 100 pitches a game. If you're bending 50 extra times a game, that takes a lot out of you over a course of a game. If you're, having to take a step away to your right, to your left, those are all extra things you're doing in the game that's just physically taking its toll over time, especially if you have a doubleheader in the playoffs in the way the tournament's set up. B, if they're experienced as a catcher, they know how to work the ump. So, you may not get a pitch now. A good catcher will know how to work the ump that you'll get the same pitch the next time. I think it's very underrated, and people don't put enough premium on the catcher, especially when you have A-level pitching, when you're trying to hit spots, when you're trying to mix it up, when you need to keep in a rhythm, when you're throwing hard. So every extra ounce of energy makes a big difference. I think, to me personally, it makes a huge difference.
Yehuda?
I didn't know Steve was so soft, and I thought he was from a different
don't call it Beavers for nothing.
He's hanging out with these young guys. He's been hanging out with the youth of today. No, obviously you want somebody competent and good back there. This is what I'll say. I think if you are playing in a tournament where everybody is at least at a reasonable level, I'd love to get a big bat back there. I got to tell you, you mentioned Rosen. That guy is phenomenal. I pointed it out. I told you this when they didn't bat him in the tournament. I thought this guy was a phenomenal bat. I think, Steve, not to bring it back up, I think he had 2 or 3 hits off.
By the way, he's a good example to answer that question. You guys early on.
Yeah.
It's Rosen. Like that second tier hit.
He's the guy who's not. He's not a 3-4
he's that
hitter,
guy.
but he's the guy who just gets on against you.
Yeah. But you know what? I think he's a better player than you're giving him
credit
for. In other words, I think he gets it. So the fact that if you could put a really good bat and have him catch, assuming you're filling out the rest of your team, of course it's a major advantage and I'd spend on it. But the likelihood is it's going to affect me elsewhere. So I'd rather get somebody who I'm going to get for a couple of bucks who may be a little bit under the radar, but follows directions, knows how to have a nice, has good soft hands, knows the game.
Like Yosef Fine, right?
By the way, I was going to say, Yosef Fine was probably the key to our championship last year.
And he went for what? $1, $2?
$1. And I got to tell you, the guy is a pleasure to deal with. He has good input. He's smart. And he just, because he also umpires, which I know not everyone loves, but because he does have a good sense of what the strike zone is and what the pitcher's looking for. And I got to tell you, to go spend $15 or $20 on the position at the cost of other positions, I don't think is a smart way to go. And I would not. I hope that the tournament is built in a way that there's enough good players across the board where you're not having someone where, okay, I got to stick this guy behind the plate and deal with it. Where, right now I'm throwing to Feldberg, right? son. He's tremendous. I mean, he gets it.
Does your catcher call your pitches?
What I'll do is I may shake him off and he knows to go the different direction, but we've now played together and I don't think he started as an outfielder, so I don't think you have to be a catcher. If you have a good head on your shoulders like he does, I think you can adapt to the position. And we have an excellent rapport now. And I threw to him in the
Meaning, is he telling you when he wants you to throw you a fastball versus a riser, or you make that determination?
No.
Steve, does Saf tell you
he locates. He kind of locates, and then if 90% of the time I agree, once in a while I'll shake him off. But
by the way,
I'll see.
That's funny. I let Rosen and as younger when they for the most part they call the whole game. They tell me.
Yeah, because then you get to blame it on them when it's wrong.
I just like.
No, see, I'm the same way. And
when I switch up my pitches, it's more because I see how
go ahead.
A guy leaning a little bit more on his front leg, so he's gearing up for a fastball. So I'll throw an off speed. I don't know if Sup has the same view that I do on something like that. But he has a good view on in between innings. We'll talk and he'll be like, this guy's doing this, this guy's doing that. So that I already know what's happening. So but I location wise, he pretty much calls again.
Yehuda, to your point,
he's struggling on service, so we'll kind of have to.
I'm still struggling,
or just a regular Tuesday.
How am I struggling?
Speaking of Sach, someone said to me that
heyday was you hated playing against him. He was so annoying. He was he's the greatest guy to play with on your team, best captain. So I think that's it.
So I think the stream, it cut out. So we'll ask the question again because I think we cut before the question was: is Sach Feldberg?
Am I back now?
Is it a false statement that he's the worst player to play against, but the best player to play with? And I think Steve, you said yes, but also Seth Fishman fits into that category.
Yeah, but I don't I played against Sach a lot over the years. I never hated playing against him. He wasn't there's many more guys that I just couldn't stand playing against.
I feel like Yehuda's going to say Joel Wurtzel falls into that category of a great guy to play with, but against, not easy.
I will not. I will say I see where your question's coming from because I think that we had this whole tape measure. But I will tell you that having really literally in the same season played with Sach and against Sach, he's a phenomenal teammate. I mean, the guy gives of himself. The guy is just the team is the number one thing and the only thing that matters. I've gained a certain respect for him over the years where having been captains together, where I don't think he's the most, whatever you're saying, the hated to play against. I'm not.
It's actually for me, he's one of the few guys I really want to play with. Out of all the guys I never get to play with, so I would love for Sach to catch me and hopefully one day maybe we'll bring a 5.
He's an all-time great teammate. All-time great teammate.
How important is it to you guys to have like how important is it to you an energy guy, a vibes guy? Like I've always said, I love playing with Ellie Race because he just like brings like a certain energy. Like, do you have a guy that you play with, and whether it's Sunday morning or Monday night, that is just like that big energy guy that just fits the team, like rounds out the team?
Now there's a guy, by the way, Ellie Race, of who's a little annoying to play against. If we're gonna go back a question,
Great player, by the way.
great player, but that guy, he's on. He lets you know just how good he is, and how you're not doing so good.
Yeah, no, it's a fair. I think Ellie Race, if he was in this tournament, I think he would be a top 10 player by far. I think he's that good, personally.
It's funny, Yossi, because I actually mentioned this today. If we're going a little off topic of your question, but I don't know if he could hear us, or he's all over the place, or it looks like he's like a dentist chair. But I think Avi Edelman is a top 10 player. In this
Wait,
tournament.
am I still not
Top
clear?
10
You guys
hitter,
can hear me when I talk?
overall
Top 10
no.
player overall.
No,
He could pitch.
that is-
Hey, you could rebut after. He could pitch, certainly be pitching at a high level. His bat has become a lethal bat. The guy is a tremendous hitter, and he has tremendous positional flexibility. And not just flexibility, he plays it well. Like, he can play the right side of the infield, and the outside, he's tremendous in the outfield.
Okay. I mean, I think Steve and I have a very different opinion.
Right.
And
Right,
obviously
I think Avi's
doesn't,
good.
so-
I think Avi's a very good player.
Yeah.
Top 10. I mean, we just mentioned 7, 8 guys that. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to take Zinn. You're not going to take Bloom. You're not going to take Archie. I think the three
Matt.
of us, we would all take each other. You're not going to take Matt. You're not going to take. I would personally, I would take
Take the pitchers
Rosenberg.
out of it. I'm saying
Ash.
we're not talking.
Is
Okay,
Ash
I
in
don't
it?
know. I don't know that I agree with you, and I don't know
I
that
don't
I
know.
agree. I think he pitches well enough where
No, I'm taking
he's
Avi.
very
over
dangerous.
Ash.
you thinking? Yeah.
Just, I feel like winter Ash is different than summer.
Oh,
Ash.
it's winter
You gotta
Ash.
know-
Okay,
you gotta
I got
know,
it.
You
I
got
get
to
it.
know which season you're dealing with.
The seasons don't affect Avi. The season.
Avi's always in season.
No, but going back, energy guy is very important. It really is important because I think nothing's worse when you come to the bench and it's your team's not hitting and everybody's kind of just looks like they're going through the motions. I love when a guy, and I've been criticized for this a little bit, like that I'm constantly with the huddles and getting guys together. And to me, like, I don't like to give away at bats. I feel like every out is precious in the game. And if you have some, by the way, I'm going to say it here, like, I think one of the greatest testaments to the Lobos and is they're a never say die team because they're all motivating each other. You play them, they feel like an angry pack of wolves. Like they're coming at you, they don't stop, they're always loud on the bench. To me, it's such a difference. Aside from the fact that it affects the other team, it keeps the guys in the game. It keeps everyone focused and not on their phones. Like, to me, that's huge.
Yeah, you brought him up before. Like, Shirley Freeman's a great vibes guy. I love having him
Yeah.
around. I love having Archie. Like, just playing with Archie. He's a great guy.
Steve, do you do what I do with Archie? If the game time is at 7:45, you tell him that the game starts
Sucks
7:20.
in charge of Archie, but I will tell you this: last night, I was going to the bathroom before the game. It must have been like 8:40, and I see this guy walking by with glasses and a shirt, and I like, who is that guy? And then he's like, Steve, you ready? You ready? And I'm like, Archie, it's like I don't even put you in the setting. Like, what are you doing here 20 minutes early? He's like, it's time to lock in. So Archie is locked in. So we're good.
Maybe that was the problem last night, Steve. Maybe you need him showing up at 9:07.
He was fine. He played Archie very well last night.
I'm kidding. Archie is incredible.
Archie's a great vibes guy.
Also, agreed. As a younger, good vibes guy. Itzy Rosen, good vibes guy. Those are the guys that I play with, obviously.
I still have bad
Avi, we
service.
lost
You guys still
No,
can't
we
hear me?
Did you come back? No, still not back. Avi's got to get better internet wherever he is.
You should take up a GoFundMe for him for
So,
cell phone.
Yuta, big debate this year going into this second year of the draft tournament, which is are the pitchers going to go as high as they did last year? And obviously, you guys won the championship. You went in the 40s, which will not happen again this year.
I
But
think it was 54, just for accuracy purposes.
oh, is it okay? But I wonder because I think that there are two pitchers that I think are either in the tournament or going to join the tournament, which is Asaf and Sendy Berger. That, in my opinion, I think are tier 1 pitchers. I think they're good enough.
On and off.
No, on and off. But do you, with now that you have probably 6 to 7 tier 1 pitchers in the league. Do you think that the pitchers will go for less, more, the same, or what would your strategy be if you were a captain trying to take yourself out of it?
So that's fair. So I think if I take the big three of Pollan, Kaufman, and Ash, and then I put myself in, and then you have Asaf is 5. I'm hoping Avi Edelman pitches makes 6. Sendy would make 7. What's his name? Slomowitz, maybe? He's pretty good. 8. I would hope that they can go out and get like a Dan Braun and
I think Dan Braun's going to play. Dan Braun should be playing.
If Dan plays and you get what's his name, Zach Hatton, and Mikey Weiss still pitches, we're already down. We're at 11. I'm missing one guy in here.
Joey Katz, maybe.
Whatever it is, I mean, I think if you bring the bottom up where it's a very decent level, I obviously see an advantage, especially with a mix of talent, having you or Steve, or Ash facing hitters that are, let's say, not A caliber hitters, where they can kind of walk through the lineup versus it makes it a little easier when you're facing somebody who might throw a little less hard. But I think it really, you have to look at the roster construction. I think Ezzy Unger did a nice job with his team last year, but I'm going to say it, like, when I saw that we drew them in our first round matchup, I was very happy because all season, all we faced was Kaufman, Pollan, Ash. It was just one after another, and we couldn't hit. So I think there's a value to the pitching, but up to a point. You can't destroy your team with, you go draft Yossi Kaufman at $100, you're going to have a hard time constructing a roster.
So you would not, if you were a captain, you're not spending upwards of $70 on a pitcher.
I think 80 might be my number, but the issue, I want to be fair. I think they're doing a better job with the captains this year. Part of what made your team work last year is that you started with, I believe, Sammy Miller.
Which hurt our outfield, but yes.
That's a little bit of an advantage.
Steve, what is your take on it?
So who are the confirmed pitchers?
And the confirmed pitchers are the three of us. Let's assume
My back? Do you hear me now?
You're back, yeah. The confirmed pitchers are the three of us.
I heard you guys talking about me. Thank you, Judah, for giving me such pleasurable compliments. Thanks, Yossi.
The other guys vehemently disagreed, and
I was going to say, thanks, Yossi and Steve, for the negativity, but I'll use it as the same thing Adam Hoffman will use my comments
I mean, Avi, I think Steve and I weren't insulting you. I think you would. I mean, would you put yourself ahead of Zinn and Rokach and Jack Ross and Archie as in the tournament?
I'll say this about myself. I think I'm a different player when I'm pitching or I'm not pitching. When I'm pitching, my focus is pitching, and it takes over my whole game. When I'm not pitching, I do think I'm an extremely underrated hitter. I would put myself up there with almost anybody when it means getting a base hit off of any pitcher. But when I'm pitching, you can't. It's very hard because I'm capable of doing a lot of things, but I'm not amazing at any one thing. So it's very hard to put me in that category because I'm not an amazing pitcher. I'm not when I'm pitching, I'm definitely not an amazing hitter. My hitting decreases by 50% when I'm pitching. And in the outfield, I'm good. I could play very well. I could play infield very well. I used to be a really good shortstop and third baseman before my shoulder gave out on me. But no, who the thing's giving me too much credit. But I do think I'm extremely. How do I say this? I think I'm a really good player. But yeah, no, I would lean somewhere in the middle of Yossi and Steve's face when they heard what Yehuda said and what Yehuda said. But I would land myself somewhere in the middle of those two reactions.
Yossi, I have to pump up his values to get people to spend money on him.
Sure.
By the way, I doubt I'm joining the draft. I'm only joining if it's desperate for another legit pitcher to be in it because there's so much going on. That's a side.
Is Zach Hatton confirmed? Is Dan Braun confirmed?
So Dan Braun's signing up. Yeah, I was gonna jump in. Dan Braun is signing up. Yes, he is going to do it. Dan Braun is signing up. You have Dan Braun, you have Yehuda, you have Steve, you have Yossi. Sendy Berger's also going to be signing up, so that's confirmed. That's another legit pitcher. Then you have guys like Craig Stroh and Mikey Weiss. Asaf Fliegelman should be signing up. He's waiting to see if his Israel trip, contradicts the playoff dates. But if not, Asaf will be signing up as well. Who else am I missing? There are other pitchers who are very solid. Nachum Mintz, who's been pitching a lot of A-League ball now that Yossi's been hurt and doing a very solid job. He's going to be joining. Who am I miss? Ari Slomowitz, you guys said he's pitches a lot of high-level B-ball, plays in a very competitive B team. He hits spots. I'm sure I'm missing guys, but Jake Caston hasn't signed up yet. Very solid pitcher in the B. He pitched last year in a tournament. He throws fast. He hits spots. Very competitive. Great hitter also. It's going to be pretty deep. Definitely deeper than last year's tournament.
Avi,
Steve,
who's the
so
young kid? Avi, who's that young kid who pitched against Jim
Oh,
Missouri?
he's joining also. Forgot about him. Phenomenal. Okay, I don't want to say phenomenal because whenever I see someone
Very
pitching the
good.
B's,
Very,
he's
very
not
good.
phenomenal, but throws hard, hits spots. I'm forgetting his name. He's a young kid, maybe 5'9", very skinny, very fast. Hit the ball to the trees in Northwood Mirror 1, left center on a fly twice. He pitches really well on the mound. He plays a great second base. So very. I mean, I was told I cannot say a word during the draft this year. They made me promise not to say a word because I overhyped or underhyped players last year. But this kid could be the steal of the draft, legit. And I forgot his name, not on
Where's he
purpose. I
from?
could look it up.
Where's he
I don't
from?
know. He's from the area. He was brought in by someone else new to the league, and he could legitimately be the steal of the draft without question. Without question.
Steve, getting back to the topic, where do you think that the pitchers go, and what would you do if you were a captain?
I still think premier pitchers are the most valuable positions out there because your defense is better when you have a better pitcher. You're putting less stress on your defense. Um, you're putting less stress on your offense because you don't need as many runs as another team. No offense to some of the other pitchers mentioned, but the guys get hit. Like you play against a team with a well constructed lineup. It also depends on the talent of the league. Like last year, I thought the talent, the way it was set up, was not really fair because of the way the captains were spread out. And but if all is considered equal, and you have and you have competent players at all positions, which last year I don't think you had across all the teams, I think top tier pitching makes a big difference. And I put a guy like Asaf, close in that level also because Asaf is an excellent pitcher and he's also a big bat. So, would I rather spend $85 on one of those kind of guys than spend $80 on a Jack Ross? Yeah, because Jack could play a whole game in the field and not have any effect in the field if the ball's not hit to him. And you could pitch around him. Listen, in a like guy like Matt, if you spend $100 on Matt and you play it right against him and you have a team surrounded by him in the playoffs, you can walk him 3 times and he becomes irrelevant.
So let me ask you this question, Steve: is Matt worth $100? Is Matt worth? If you're drafting, would you spend $100 on Matt? Okay.
No.
Yehuda Konig, would you spend $100 on Matt Rosenberg?
Am I being placed? I mean, I'm assuming I'm going to go for more than $20-$30 this year. So.
Yeah. If a captain, you look at the draft, and at the end of the draft, Matt Rosenberg went for $100. Do you think that was a smart move, or you feel like that was an overpay only because there's only $200 to work with?
So if I got the right pitcher at the right value, like some of the other guys you mentioned, and I still have enough to put another two to three decent, really good players in that lineup, I would spend the money on Matt because I think while Steve, I'm not saying he's minimizing it and you could just pitch around him, I still look at Matt, the guy on the bases is a terror. And if you're going to have a good pitcher and assume that it's a low-scoring game, that extra run or two that he could steal you could be extremely valuable. I mean,
but you're not getting the good pitcher if you're spending $100 on that.
Well, again, if you are able to put him with an Asaf Fligelman or something.
Yeah, but
like
I
that.
don't think Asaf is going to go for under $45-$50.
Exactly.
So you might be at $150 with 2 players, and then you have $50 on another.
Yeah, but assuming
nine.
that's fair, but a lot of other people are going to be having to spend a lot of money on you and on Steve. And
So here's the better question. You're drafting. You're the captain.
Let me say this, Yossi. I'd rather spend $100 on Matt than $50 to $60 on a lot of other people.
So let me ask you this question. You're a captain of the draft. The first player nominated is Matt Rosenberg. He's $99. You could bid $100 and he's yours. You do it? First player of the draft.
No.
Okay. Avi Edelman, if you're drafting, would you spend $100 on Matt?
No.
Okay, that's the question.
And by the way, I'm going back to what I said earlier. He's the best softball player I've ever played with. So there's nothing to do with his talent level. It's just when you have $300 to spend and the pitching levels are so different.
200.
No, Steve's on the Lobos. He's used to getting extra things, so he's going to.
Um,
Come
I
on, that's
will.
funny, Steve.
I will also factor in. I think to Avi's credit is that this year, and I've been a very big proponent to make the draft league really a tier 1, high end tier 2 draft league. And what that will inevitably do, I think the last year the challenge is that the bottom third of the league was not like there was a very big disparity.
Yeah.
And I think now you can get guys for $2, $3, $4 that should be pretty serviceable, which will change the draft. Because if it was the same, I would say I'd rather not spend over $70 on anyone. I'd rather stay in the 20s to 40s and build myself a very competent team. But now you might get very competent players for just a few dollars at the end of the draft, because what Avi has discussed of really keeping it very limited to guys that are playing tier 1 exclusively or high end tier 2, like that can clearly go to tier 1, like Scheinbein and Stettner.
To date, by the way, there's currently 67 officially signed up. Really, there's more of guys who didn't sign up yet. Out of these 67 official sign-ups, 62 either play A regularly or play B and sub regularly in the A, which is an unbelievable stat. The other 5 are all competent players, but 62 of the 67 are guys who either are playing on a regular A team or sub regularly on an A team, which is a great start, which is unbelievable. The other 5 guys are good players also.
That might change how I would view it then.
Of course, but I was going based on that.
Okay, so then you're saying because then you could get Matt and Sir. Okay, then in that scenario
because I get 4 or 5 guys for $2-3 that are legit players, then you're talking about a different ball game.
Well, we still have 64 spots to fill, but that's it. If we keep this trajectory, we hope.
No, but I was looking at
that's
the way my team, not my team, but the way in general the teams were constructed last year, and a lot of the 6 to 10 guy on the teams last year, it made a big difference. If you had a team with $10 guys last year, but like $10 guys that are real players, as opposed to guys that were picked, like, no offense to Gottlieb's team, but they had 3 good players and the rest of the team was, just not competitive. So
Steve, we had Chaim Pfeiffer that we got for $5.
Yeah,
Steve got Scheinbein for $1.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
People will tell you Lowinger is the best general manager out there, can recruit like nobody else. But as a manager, you got to be careful.
The problem with Lowinger wasn't even a problem. His strategy and his thought process was good. He wanted, because we didn't know a lot of these guys, he wanted to fill a team filled with young guys that could run, that could do a lot of things like that. But you also have to take into account a guy like Pfeiffer, who is a professional player. The guy, maybe he can't run it like he used to run, but the guy can play 2-3 positions. He can hit, and especially in a B-ish type league, he's even that much more valuable for $5-7, whatever it was. It's ridiculous. The guy's
you need a glove. I mean, he could feel the ball barehanded, as we saw at the
end. Steve, do you either of you, Steve, Yehuda, and Avi, do you guys have a preference? Do you feel like you pitch better in field 1 or field 2?
Dude, I'll pitch on the moon. It doesn't matter.
I feel like the outfield seems a lot bigger in field 2. That's just my feelings.
I like pitching in field 2 better. I feel like I'm actually a better pitcher in field 2. I don't know if
because the fence is 15 feet further back.
You could have answered field 2.
My 2 most dominant games this year came against Yehuda Konig and his team, both on field 2, when we beat them 1-0 and 2-1. But for some reason in my head, field 2, the outfield looks so much bigger. I feel like there's so much more space to get up a hit. That's just my mental health.
Steve, I feel like you're a field 1 guy, Steve.
Primetime Pollan.
I don't know.
If Dom wasn't available, who is the ump that you prefer the most to ump your games?
Why are you starting with that? Why do you have to?
Because you can't. Because if Dom is available, it's a very.
That's an odd question. It's an odd way to start that question.
Excluding Dom, because we're all going to pick Dom, obviously. But excluding Dom, who would you pick? Joe?
Yeah.
This is a sensitive question. This is a sensitive question for Steve after last night. After last night, it's a sensitive question for Yehuda and for Steve.
Not at all.
Did Joe ump your game?
Joe was fine last night. And what I love about Joe is that, listen, every umpire is going to miss balls and strikes, especially in our league. But Joe really works the game. He gets down the line. He cares. I love that. He controls the game.
This is something like He's not ashamed. He's not going to fight with you. He's not there to argue with you. He'll come and tell you, listen, this is the way I saw it, and that's it. Like, we could talk about it. He doesn't mind. He's not sensitive like that, which is awesome.
I think Doug has been really good this year. And John I've only had a couple of times, but he's
There's
pretty
two
solid.
Johns. There's the Italian John and with the long socks, and there's the other John with the beard.
The guy who did our playoff game.
That's the one with the beard. Yeah.
He was pretty good. I think they're better. The umpiring this year has been better than years past. At least the top 3-4 guys. Like Doug, John, Joe, Dom. They've been better. But the next tier behind that has been rough.
Do you only hire umpires with one-syllable names?
You have to ask Dom that question.
I think Doug actually, his strike zone, I think is actually very consistent. I think
he's the most consistent strike zone. I agree.
But I do agree that Joe is the best umpire on the base. Like calling people, I think his and we saw it in our playoff game with all the video replays. But like he's very, very good on the bases, very good, and he gets out there. He's runs faster than the guys down the line.
Yeah.
Yeah, like last night.
By the way, some might say that's his biggest downfall. But in all seriousness, I mean, it's a great thing he does it. He's so active and he's so into it at times. Like, so I overhear people saying, like, because he's so shaky behind the plate, moves his body back and forth. And, sometimes people say that might be his biggest downfall. Not that it's a problem, but, like, maybe he'll miss a call because his body's moving with the pitch that he loses. I don't know. This is what I hear whispers on the field. But he's awesome.
I see that. I see sometimes he's not, like, not this game. The game before, the beginning of the game, he wasn't positioned right. And Sal spoke to him. And because the way the mound, I forgot what field it was, but the mound, the plate was higher. Maybe I forgot exactly what happened. And he repositioned himself, and he called the rest of the game great because he just he was out of spot. But he really cares. It's hard to.
I'd rather have a guy that cares, and everybody's going to miss one once in a while. At least I know he cares and is passionate.
100%.
Speaking of guys out of position, I'm very curious for both of you. What is your biggest pet peeve that a player can do on your team?
Just not be mentally in the game. Everybody makes mistakes.
So I played with a guy who was on his phone in between pitches in the outfield, like looking at his phone.
I would go nuts. Yeah.
So guys that don't know
Matt Rosenberg, I'll live with it.
There's also, it's like a pet peeve of mine. The guy that on third base, there's less than 2 outs, and there's a ball that's hit like a rocket to the outfield.
And he breaks.
And he jumps off. He breaks. He jumps off the bag, and then by the time he gets back, and then he can't go. That always, to me, is the worst.
Is Gottlieb on this? Is David Gottlieb on this?
No,
I'm kidding.
Doug Gottlieb do that?
Honestly, it's people. I think people have learned. I think as there's been more integration between the A and the B league, which I've pushed for tremendously. I think a lot of the little things that happen in the A League where there's such a small margin for error between winning and losing, those little things, taking an extra base, manufacturing a run without getting a hit, those things are so important. And I think they get lost in the B a little because it's not as important. Like you could jump off the base and the next guy is going to go and have an easy pitch to hit. You do that with Pollan on the mound, you miss your opportunity to score on a sac fly, you're not getting another chance. So I think as people learn the game and get better mentally, everybody's games get better. But when you're not into the game mentally and you don't know how many outs there are, you don't know the count, and it absolutely drives me crazy.
To me, it's ego ball, meaning fly ball to the outfield. Guy thinks he has the greatest arm in the world, and he doesn't think who's on base, and he just throws it home. Or, say if a guy throws it in to the infield, guy giving up extra bases because you just want to make the play. Or like make a diving stop at short or third, whatever it is, and then just gunning to first and throwing it into the dugout and then give a guy an extra base because you're not thinking with your head, you're thinking with your ego. Second or third, 1 out. You're trying to jack one instead of hitting a base hit to right field. Worst case scenario, you hit a pop up to right field, you get 1 run home. Like, the little things that you got to take yourself out of the equation and your talent, shoring up your swing, do things what isn't, may not be the cool thing to do in camp, but it's the right thing to do on the field. Like that, those things drive me crazy.
are you the guys that are communicating with the outfield where you want them to throw the ball when they catch it or when they pick it up,
We
or is someone
try.
else out there?
We
You
try.
try, yes, but ideally, Steve and I, if there's a man on base, should be backing up a base, and the first baseman's supposed to come to the pitcher's mound to go, so they could take a low throw in and cut it off and not let the other guy advance. So that's really what you're trying to do. I mean, I shouldn't be just sitting there out there, watching the outfielder. I should be doing something. Like, oh, by the way, that's another thing. A grounded a third on an angle, you want to see your right fielder breaking in to back up the base. It's little things that you learn to do as you play more and more that help you cut down on little things that extend an inning or give a team an extra base, which becomes an extra run. And
Guys, I got to run.
yeah,
So
see, if you're playing a 12-8 game, one thing's not a big deal. You
yeah,
play a 2-1 game, everything matters.
guys,
All right,
I gotta
guys.
jump off. But I appreciate it. It was fun. You guys can keep going.
No, it's all
I'm
good.
looking forward to the draft. All right,
All
guys.
right, guys.
Yossi, you got
Take care.
Yossi, you have last comments here? You should close it out.
Closing comments.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if we're talking about the draft, I think it's a great opportunity. I'm going to push like the top players that haven't signed up yet to sign up. I think you and Steve, I think you guys should do the same, because I think we could build something that can be, one of the parts that just is it is what it is. It's like you play with the same guys year after year after year, and I always look forward to playing with guys that I never get to play with. The challenge is that if the talent's not there, it's just going to naturally fall into very much of like a tier 2 league. And I told this to Avi, I think it's better to have less players and keep it tier 1 or high end tier 2. And this is not a knock on guys obviously who don't have the skill set. I actually think you could potentially run down the road 2 parallel draft leagues where you have a tier 2 and a tier 1. But I think it would be a lot of fun, and I encourage everyone to sign up. And you get to see who did Konig get drafted for more than $54.
Yossi, I'll say this. I think there's a lot of guys in tier 2 that the more they would play, and it might be very hard to face you for the first 7 to 10 times, but the more somebody sees you, the more they're going to adjust to it. And I think there's so many players in the quote unquote B League who, given an opportunity, have so much talent and so much speed, and just it's they could easily go ahead and play in the A League without a problem.
I completely agree. We see it now. I would tell you that I think the draft league was responsible for probably 10 to 15 tier 2 exclusive guys to play now in tier 1. And I think we got to continue that trend. All right, on that note, Yuda, it was a lot of fun.
Yep.
We'll talk. Avi is wherever he is.
He's checking his stats.
I'm here, guys. I'm here. I'm just busy, but I'm here.
All right.
I'm gonna close it out for you guys.
Calculating his lifetime
Close it.
win.
I'm gonna close it out for you guys once you're finished. You guys are done? You ready to roll?
Close it out.
Okay, we're looking forward, guys. Thank you so much. As I'm here cleaning my floor after a Slurpee spilled. Sorry, Don. I'm getting a new one, buddy. All right, thanks, guys. Thanks a lot. This is awesome.